Welcome back to Joe's Stunner Boxing. Zelfa Barrett wins a wide, extremely dominant 12-round decision over Jason Sanchez. This was for one of those WBA Intercontinental belts, gets him a ranking. But more importantly, Barrett, this was his first fight back since he gave that sort of very gallant but ultimately losing fight against Rakhimov. Stopped in 9 rounds after having Rakhimov on the floor. That was for the IBF super-featherweight title. And the question is, whenever a fighter suffers, a stoppage defeat, how are they going to come back? Are they going to come back with a bit of self-belief, having learnt, well, I had the champion on the floor, I went 9 rounds or nearly 9 rounds, I gave her, or are they going to think, I've lost, am I really world class? What goes through their head? How do they recover psychologically? And you can only say that Barrett really has bounced back tremendously well, because he was in against a guy in Sanchez who came in with 16 wins, 9 KOs on his in his wins ledger, 3 defeats, but was never stopped. And he himself was a former world title challenger. He went the distance with Oscar Valdez. That was back in 2019. He had lost 2 of his last 3. He lost to Adam Lopez, 10-round majority decision. That was in 2021 and also in 2020. He lost a unanimous decision to Christopher Diaz. So he has that sort of gatekeeper role, if you like. And I'll tell you what, this kid's tough. This kid's got a great jaw and a lot of fortitude. Very proud of his Mexican roots. He's United States citizen, but obviously has Mexican roots, and came into, the sound of Mexican music and dressed in Mexican colours. And he showed, a lot of that Mexican spirit, that Mexican fighting spirit, because first round, it was, they were having a look at each other. Barrett, very, very flashy. He calls himself the Brown Flash, which I always thought is a bit of an odd nickname. I won't go into it, but see if you can guess what I mean. The Brown Flash. No thanks. But, he was flashy. He is flashy, Barrett. And lots of skills. Very, very slick. Moves very well. Fires all the punches you can think of. Uppercuts, body punches, straight shots. Very sharp, very fast. And maybe, styles make fights. So Jason Sanchez, a pressure fighter, hasn't got that heavier hands. He got 9 wins out of 16, 9 KOs out of 16 wins. But you wouldn't sort of mistake him for being a banger. But he likes to come forward, and Barrett likes people that come forward. He can use his feet to sort of control the range. Anything sloppy, he can counter. And that's really what happened. Although in one of the early rounds, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd round, Barrett found himself on the ropes, and Sanchez was letting his hands go big time. I mean, and you thought, Barrett don't want to be there, does not want to be. This is a 12-round fight. The WBA, that belt of theirs, they do the 12-round distance. And you were thinking, okay, Barrett's got a lot of flash and dash, but he needs to not burn up unnecessary energy, or unnecessarily burn up energy, I should say. And Sanchez was, growing in confidence. He looked all right. He was taking shots. Don't get me wrong, he was taking shots. Like I say, Barrett was countering beautifully. Sanchez is 28 years old, so he's in his prime. And Barrett, what is he? How old is Barrett? Sort of the same age, 28, 29, 30. I don't think he's 30 yet, but similar ages. So they're both in their prime. And Barrett, I think, really badly shook Sanchez in, I want to say, the 3rd or the 4th round. I can't remember. And that was for the, you really thought, well, this was I think it was a right hand. Was it a right cross or something that snapped Sanchez's head? And Sanchez sort of staggered back. His legs were sort of a bit wooden for a few seconds. And Barrett was on him. And he thought, I wonder if he can stop him, because that would be a statement. Sanchez never before been stopped. And he's went the 12-round distance with Valdez, admittedly 4 years ago. But hey, it'd still be a statement. He couldn't get rid of him, though, not in that round. Although in the 5th round, a beautiful right hand. I mean, it smacked off Sanchez. Sanchez, no way. It was so fast, Sanchez just didn't see it coming. And Sanchez suddenly lunged forward and was on all fours, I think. He got up, and then a couple of seconds into the count, he took a knee again and waited for the 8 count. So Sanchez was clearly badly shaken, and there was a lot of time left in that 5th round. But Barrett just couldn't get rid of him. Sanchez, even when hurt, is coming forward. And, he's got quite a high guard. It's not like he's got no defence. It's just that Barrett is so sharp and so so lethal. He's got that sort of cobra look about him, and moves a lot as well. Whenever Sanchez gets close, he disengages by skipping out of the way just and resetting himself. Very difficult man to hit, Zelfa Barrett. But when he was getting up close, Sanchez, on the rare occasion he was getting up close, Sanchez was looking to bang the body and try and slow Barrett down. He just couldn't do it. But my God, he showed some fortitude and some really great chin. Even though he was on the floor, his recuperative powers are very, very impressive. He managed to sort of get close to Barrett once or twice, but again, Barrett controlling the range. And I think after about 8 rounds, Barrett thought, look, I don't need to really go for the knockout. I can just coast. I'm obviously winning this fight by a country mile, so I'll let Sanchez come to me, and then I'll ping counters off him. And the fight sort of, in terms of a spectacle, kind of died a bit of a death. It sort of petered out a little bit over the last third of the fight, because Barrett was just so dominant, and he wasn't being that proactive. He was kind of cruising almost. And credit to Sanchez, still coming forward, still trying to put it on Barrett. But I think he probably knew, I'm not going to win this fight, but he did go the distance. It was a wide decision. One guy, I think 118, 110 or 109 or something like that. One guy had it closer, 116, 111. I can't remember the third card. But a deserved win for Barrett. He showed an awful lot of stuff. He is clearly world class, For Jason Sanchez, yeah, I'd call him a gatekeeper. Very, very good quality gatekeeper. A guy who only the best are going to beat. And Barrett, he probably wants the winner of Cordina versus Shavkatdzhon, I think that's how you pronounce it, Rakhimov. Shavkatdzhon, I think. What the hell is that? You know me, man. I'm typical ignorant Englishman. Can't speak any foreign languages, but he wants the winner between Rakhimov and Cordina. That fight, as I'm recording this, has not yet happened. That's the headlining fight from Cardiff. So yeah, look out for a video for that one. Subscribe if you're new, of course. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. What did you think of this fight? Leave your comments below. I thought Barrett looked very, very impressive. But what do you think? And of course, like the video. That helps us out a great deal as well. In the meantime, we're heading for the main event. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.